This video summarises some of the key guidance for senior leaders which the Bell Foundation has published so that you can ensure fair and objective grade allocations for students who use EAL in the absence of summer exams in 2020. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the government announced that schools in England would shut for the majority of children and exams scheduled for the summer would not take place. We learned that GCSE grades will be awarded this summer based on the best available evidence, including any non-exam assessment that students have already completed. So what does this mean for students who use EAL? We know that learners who use EAL are a very diverse group. They may have arrived in the UK at different ages and have varying different socioeconomic and educational backgrounds. Some students may have come from an advantaged context with a high standard of education, while others may have had very little or interrupted schooling or experienced traumatic events. And their language proficiency can range from new to English through to fluent. Research has demonstrated that it's levels of English language proficiency among learners using EAL that has been shown to be a key predictor of attainment. We know there is significant variation in attainment based on proficiency in English. Research has found that those pupils who are new to English or at the early acquisition stage score below the national average. Those who are developing competence are very close to the national average, and those who are competent or fluent score significantly above the national average. With this in mind, the cancellation of exams is likely to have implications for the attainment of many pupils who are preparing to take their exams. These implications are particularly important for those pupils who are new to English and those who entered the school system late, for example in years 10 and 11. There is also evidence to suggest that students with EAL may be disadvantaged through teacher assessment, as they are more likely to be underrated than overrated. Following the government's announcement, Ofqual produced detailed guidance to enable centres to prepare to review the evidence and make judgments, and to explain to students how their grades would be determined. The main headline from this guidance is that exams will not take place this summer. Student grades will instead be based on evidence of their likely performance had they gone ahead. Schools will submit to exam boards for each student and for each subject judgments on the grade the student would most likely have received had the exams taken place, and the rank order of each student at each grade in each subject within that centre. These will be holistic judgments informed by evidence of students' performance during their courses of study, such as in homework, mock exams, and non-exam assessments. Following a public consultation, which sought views on several components of their guidance, Ofqual followed up with more details and amendments for some areas. In the most recent guidance, there is now a section with reference to how grade allocation will affect EAL pupils. It advises that for students with EAL, schools and colleges should consider the likely language acquisition a student would have made by the time of the exam, and any increased ability to demonstrate subject content knowledge as part of this, and reflect this in their judgment. Importantly, the guidance notes that schools may seek further information from specialist EAL teachers as part of this. Considering the guidance from Ofqual in relation to students using EAL, the remainder of this video will focus on practical recommendations for senior leaders on how they can support teaching staff, including EAL coordinators and EAL teachers, in ensuring fair and objective grade allocations for students who use EAL. We will consider two key areas. One, how to ensure a fair and equitable process for students with EAL in GCSE grade allocations in the absence of summer exams, and two, how to support those students with EAL who are entered for autumn GCSE exams during and after school closures. Ensuring a fair and equitable process for students using EAL in GCSE grade allocations. Some teachers will require support to ensure predicted grades and rank ordering take full account of an EAL student's proficiency in English in relation to their ability to demonstrate subject knowledge and understanding. They may have no prior experience with working with assessment data, looking specifically at proficiency in English, and it's important that they understand its relevance to their subject. This is where EAL professionals can provide invaluable support. So as senior leaders, how can you help to make this a fair and equitable process for pupils who use EAL? It's important that EAL professionals can inform and contribute to the process of assigning grades and rank ordering. By involving EAL professionals in this process, you can limit the risk of any conscious or unconscious bias in relation to EAL learners. The evidence shared in the Equality Impact Assessment from Ofqual demonstrates that students using EAL are more likely to be underrated in teacher assessment than overrated. Of the 3 subjects analysed, English, Maths and Science, there were indications of underprediction in either English or Maths in the studies that looked at pupils with EAL. For senior leaders, this might mean sending out a whole school message highlighting the important role that EAL professionals need to play in grade allocation and ranking. It may also mean giving a direct instruction for heads of department and teaching staff to consult with EAL professionals when assigning grades and rank ordering. You may want to communicate the importance of drawing on up-to-date assessments of both proficiency in English and ability to demonstrate curriculum knowledge and understanding. It may help to draw attention to research evidence which has consistently demonstrated that levels of English language proficiency among EAL learners are a key predictor of attainment. It's also important to provide the time needed to look meaningfully at assessment data. Some teachers may have no prior experience of working with data looking at proficiency in English and therefore may not see its relevance for their subject without a detailed briefing from EAL professionals on how the data has been calculated and the potential relevance for grade allocations. Supporting students with EAL who are entered for autumn GCSE exams. Students who feel their grades from the summer do not reflect their full ability will have the opportunity to take the exams in the autumn. It is therefore likely that students who are new to English or in the early acquisition stages of language development will opt to take exams in the autumn term. Moreover, schools may not be able to allocate grades to a pupil who has recently arrived, as there may not be enough evidence of their ability to make a professional judgment. These pupils will most likely have to sit autumn exams in order to receive a grade. Sitting exams in the autumn may have both advantages and disadvantages for students with EAL. Advantages may arise from having had more time to develop both language proficiency and content knowledge. However, it's important to consider that academic language development takes place mainly within the school context. This is where pupils are exposed to and take part in a broad range of interactions with their teachers, peers, and other school staff that help them to make sense of the subject content and participate fully in school life. During lockdown, many students with EAL will have been deprived of such a rich and conducive context for language development. Instead, many pupils may have spent months with limited input and access to teaching approaches best suited to their needs in the run-up to an autumn exam. This means that students with EAL will need ongoing support both while schools are closed and when they reopen to ensure they can fulfil their potential when taking exams. To support this process, senior leaders should ensure teachers actively seek guidance from EAL professionals on which students might benefit from taking the GCSE exams in the autumn. EAL professionals and teachers should be encouraged to draw on up-to-date assessment data around proficiency in English, as well as prior experience of working with students, and use this information to inform decisions. By drawing on this information, as well as subject-specific progress data, staff will be well positioned to support pupils in their decision making around whether to take autumn exams. It's important to prioritise the ongoing assessment of proficiency in English alongside curriculum learning to inform decisions about teaching and learning at a whole school level. A good way to do this is to adopt and embed an EAL assessment framework. Assessing EAL pupils' proficiency in English using a framework will enable more accurate and purposeful assessments of what a learner can do in English alongside curriculum learning, as well as providing a roadmap for progression to support teaching and learning and preparation for exams. As senior leaders, it's important to establish systems and ensure resourcing is in place to provide students with EAL with extra support during home learning in order to minimise potential loss of learning. Without additional support, some students may miss out on crucial exposure to models of academic English, opportunities for extensive listening and speaking, as well as explicit language input and feedback. The disadvantage will be even greater for those children whose parents are ESOL users with low levels of proficiency in English and/or literacy issues, and those who lack of knowledge and understanding of important areas concerning school life. Extra support may consist of tutoring with teaching staff or EAL professionals, or tailored work focusing on key areas of input that students may be missing. Senior leaders should also ensure that relevant interventions are in place for when pupils return to school to ensure students with EAL receive focused support to help compensate for any loss of learning while schools were closed. Support should focus on accelerated language development alongside curriculum learning and exam preparation. Additional support will be especially important to those pupils who are recently arrived or new to English. Schools may wish to consider providing additional in-class support from teaching assistants or EAL teachers, or scheduling after-school EAL support classes which focus specifically on exam preparation, including the language needed for understanding and responding to exam questions successfully. Senior leaders should also provide opportunities for training for school staff to help them build skills and expertise in EAL assessment and teaching approaches that will help pupils achieve their full potential in the autumn exams. Teaching staff may benefit from professional development on areas such as setting language development targets alongside subject targets, integrating language focus activities into subject lessons, and supporting vocabulary and academic language development beyond subject-specific keywords. To round off, here are some examples of training and resources from the Bell Foundation which may assist schools in developing some of the areas we have looked at in this video. The Bell Foundation has published 2 guidance papers to help teachers participating in the grade allocation process, one for senior leaders and one for EAL specialists. They supplement the Ofqual guidance by focusing specifically on how the allocation of predicted grades by teachers and the rank ordering of each student for each grade will affect students who use EAL. They provide specific guidance on how schools can ensure fair and objective grade allocations for these students. To support the assessment process, you may wish to use the Bell Foundation's evidence-informed and freely available EAL assessment framework for schools. This can be downloaded from the Bell Foundation website. For further CPD opportunities for school staff, the Bell Foundation also run regular webinars and online courses. To sign up to upcoming webinars and courses, go to the Bell Foundation website. Thank you very much for watching this video.